This week in nerdy news, this is LTNN. The FBI is warning people of an updated scam involving cryptocurrency. The scam begins in much the same way most of these scams do. You receive a call or email from someone who is presenting themselves as someone they're not. Usually an authority figure, a boss, a bank officer, a police officer, possibly even a love interest. The scammer will somehow convince the victim that they need to send money, sometimes to pay a debt you didn't know you owed, which they threaten legal action if you don't pay, to cancel a warrant you didn't know you had. That's not how warrants work. To double your money on a sure thing investment, other random blackmail scams which are almost certainly fake, to correct a refund error over some computer program you supposedly purchased. You won a prize which somehow requires you to pay for the taxes and fees right then and there. Your friend or relative is in serious trouble and needs cash. Always check with other relatives first, and even promises of affection. Now, the classic version of this scam involves sending money via wire transfer, but that requires a form to be filled out and a discussion with an actual person who might be trained to look for scams. Most often, it involves gift cards, usually Google Play cards, in which you buy cards in the amount necessary and send them the redemption codes. However, with the rise of cryptocurrency ATMs, a new version has arisen where you simply visit an ATM that supports crypto and reads QR codes. These are all over most major cities and are likely to pop up in smaller cities soon. Once the victim's there, they'll scan a QR code that the scammer has sent them, which will tell the machine to send any crypto purchased to the scammer's address. Just like that, the victim loses their money and the scammer has successfully exploited them. This type of scam is nearly impossible to reverse once it's completed. It's also usually impossible to trace the scammer's location, as they will likely be in another country entirely anyway. You can find good guidelines on how to avoid getting scammed on the FBI and Federal Trade Commission websites, but the bottom line is this: if someone is asking you to send them money and you can't verify who they are, don't do it using any method. Here are some key phrases to look out for that'll warn you it's a scam. Make sure you don't hang up the phone. Don't tell anyone what the money is for. And any offer to send you more money than they're supposed to send you with the idea that you'll send them part of it back. Bottom line, almost any legitimate organization doesn't need to transfer money via a process with little to no security or protection for that specific reason. And almost none would initiate these kinds of transactions over the phone. So, crypto or otherwise, don't send money to anyone without verifying they are who they say they are. That was This Week in Nerdy News. I'm Radio Matt, and this is LTNN.
Everyone, I'm Donessa McPherson, and this is Reviews of the Nerds. Today, I'm reviewing Sunday School Answers, created by Michael Mordanga. Sunday School Answers is self-described as the original Christian parody of Cards Against Humanity. Although this card game is compatible with similar card games, it is recommended to start with the updated Sunday School Answers New 2021 core game. There are also expansions available, such as the Superhero deck, which will be my next purchase along with the Meme deck. They also have the Christmas edition, the Jabroni deck, the Nerd deck, and many more. You can search for Sunday School Answers on thegamecrafter.com or check them out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SSA The Game. I can tell you that the laughs didn't stop the entire time I played this game with my family during one of our game nights. We went through the deck and had to see how many different phrases we could create. Although I would say that this game is family friendly, I would always suggest checking out the content for yourself on their website. When you click on a deck and scroll down, they have provided samples of what you can expect in each deck. I cannot get enough of this game and find myself playing the Nerd deck when I need a good laugh throughout the week. With that said, not only do I, but my family as well give Sunday School Answers a 10 out of 10 and recommend it for your next game night. I'm Donessa McPherson asking, have you played a game today?
Walking in faith. The dictionary defines faith as complete trust or confidence in something or someone. I can remember being taught in Sunday school that faith is believing in something even if you can't see it. In 2 Corinthians 5:7, Paul reminds us that we walk by faith and not by sight. But really, what does all of this mean? To believe in something or someone fully and completely even when we can't see it or them, and not falling idle to the things we can see, but may cause us to stumble. I'm a self-proclaimed overanalyzer. I will relive a conversation several times over and over, picking apart every word spoken and dissecting the tone in which each word was relayed, all in hopes of trying to find some underlying meaning. It's exhausting. I have a friend, though, who is an overanalyzer of a different kind. I like to refer to him as a researcher of all things. He will write out all the pros and cons of what may or may not happen in every situation he's placed in, trying to be prepared for all the what-ifs. I know for him, it's exhausting. To the world, being prepared is noble. Having a plan B or a backup is encouraged, but where exactly is the faith? Specifically in terms of walking with the Lord and living out the calling He has placed on our lives. If we make list after list of all the things that could go wrong, eventually we're going to shut the door on the opportunity God has opened for us. If we plan for all the possibilities and something outside the plan happens, we may find ourselves doubting whether or not we heard God right. But when we walk by faith, we have complete confidence that even in all the what-ifs and unseen, God is there. He has equipped us for this purpose and will not leave us to fail. When we walk in faith, we can stand firm in the promise of Romans 8:28, remembering that God works all things together for good, even the mess-ups, even the unplanned fails, even the things fully out of our control that He actually had control of the entire time. He will work it all together for the good as long as we obediently walk by faith.
Have you ever been around another person that used a word or phrase that you were absolutely certain you should know, but you didn't? Of course you have. Well, don't worry, nerd, because we've got some great news for you. You're about to learn something brand new. This is the real world, bub, and you need to learn to hold your own in a nerdy conversation. So pull up an ear and pay attention, because LTN has another nerdy definition for you. Today's term is bullet time. Also known as frozen moment, dead time, flow motion, or time slice, bullet time is a visual effect or visual impression of detaching the time and space of a camera or viewer from those of its visible subject. The bullet time effect was originally achieved photographically by a set of still cameras surrounding a subject. The cameras are fired sequentially or all at the same time depending on the desired effect. Single frames from each camera are then arranged and displayed consecutively to produce an orbiting viewpoint of an action frozen in time, or as hyper slow motion. This technique suggests the limitless perspectives and variable frame rates possible with a virtual camera. However, if the still array process is done with real cameras, it is often limited to assigned paths. While this special effect didn't originate with The Matrix, the term bullet time might have. This effect is how many of the shots where a character leaps into the air, freezes in midair, and the camera pans all the way around them is achieved. The first instance of the bullet time effect might be in the 1962 movie Zots, in which a nutty professor uses an ancient amulet to stop a bullet. So, when The Matrix 4 comes out, and you hear someone wondering out loud if there will be any more bullet time shots in this movie, you'll know what to look out for on screen, because you understand that reference.
Hey everyone, I'm Hector Miray, and this is Faith and Fandom 180. On LTN Radio. So I'm currently at a pastor's conference in Greensboro, North Carolina. Me and some other pastors from my staff are here, along with what feels like 43 million other church leaders. And I'm in this city for 3 days. So something I like to do when I'm going out into other cities is to actually bring copies of my books and stickers and stuff like that, and basically just hide them throughout the city, put it on social media, say, here's where the book is, you can go get it, and it's yours if you find it. I've done it at several cities throughout my state and some other states as well. And I really like doing it. It's just fun. It's a cool chance that if people actually read my books and I'm showing up in their area, it's a cool opportunity to kind of interact with them. But also, sometimes people that I don't even know find them, and, it's a cool experience that way. And so one of the pastors that I know was with me last night when I was hiding one and posting it and stuff like that. And he's like, what if somebody that you don't know finds it? How do you know that you're actually doing something worthwhile with this? And the reality is, I have no idea who's going to find these things. Sometimes people find them instantly. Sometimes, I never know if they're found. But that shouldn't stop me from actually trying to put it out there. And, it reminded me of this parable that Jesus tells in Matthew 13. He tells this parable about what it's like to throw out seeds in the different soil that it lands on, and the different effects the soil and weeds and stuff have. It's a long parable, and there's a long explanation. But in Matthew 13, he really just goes into this. And in the end of the verse 23, Matthew 13:23, he's summing it up as he's explaining it to the disciples, and he says, "But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown." And the reality is, if we wait around to only sow seed where we're guaranteed to see good fruit come from it, we'll never sow seed, because that's not how seed works. Me hiding some books in a city isn't going to save the world, but it's a seed. Having a conversation that might be awkward is a seed. The reality is, God wants us to be faithful to throw seeds and let Him do the harvest.
Remember to catch Faith and Fandom 180 every Wednesday morning on the Back Row Morning Show, only on LTN Radio. And if you'd like to learn more about Faith and Fandom, head over to faithandfandom.org, where you can learn about our Comic-Con ministry, podcasts, memes, apparel, and book series. You can even read new chapters before they make it to the next book. I'm Hector Miray, and thank you for spending the last 180 seconds with me.
This week in Nerd History, broken Windows.
Nerd History.
Microsoft Windows 11, which is actually the 13th or 14th version of Windows, depending on how you define a version, is rolling out worldwide right now to fairly positive reviews. But when Bill Gates announced and showcased Windows 1.0 on November 10th, 1983, there is no way any of us could have predicted the changes the next 4 decades would bring to the PC. Requiring 2 floppy disk drives and 192 kilobytes of RAM, Microsoft described the software as a device driver for MS-DOS 2.0 by supporting cooperative multitasking and tiled windows while using well-behaved applications that only use DOS system calls and permitting non-well-behaved applications to run in a full screen. Windows differed from other operating systems that could only do one thing at a time. Microsoft planned to encourage other companies, including competitors, to develop programs for Windows by not requiring a Microsoft user interface in their applications. In an attempt to de-emphasize the multitasking aspect, the company stated that Windows' purpose, unlike that of TopView from IBM, was to turn the computer into a graphics-rich environment while using less memory. While originally promised to release in April of 1984, it wasn't until November of 1985 that Windows 1.01 saw its first retail release, and well, it bombed. Most critics consider the platform to have future potential, but that Windows 1.0 had not fulfilled expectations. Many reviews criticize its demanding system requirements, especially noting the poor performance experienced while running multiple applications at once. The New York Times compared the performance of Windows on a system with 512 kilobytes of RAM, more than double what was required, to pouring molasses in the Arctic. They also claim the design was inflexible for keyboard users, as Windows encouraged the use of a mouse for navigation, a relatively new concept at the time that many deemed superfluous. If you want to understand how they felt at the time, just think back to what it was like when Windows 8 rolled out and you didn't have a touchscreen. It would be replaced by Windows 2.0 just 2 years later. Despite the negative reaction, there is no doubt it laid the groundwork for some of the best operating systems throughout the last 36 years, and Windows 8, but we try to forget about that one. I'm Radio Matt. See you next time for more
Nerd